This is
Anthem.
say again, please.
Anthem, we have a problem.
Anthem, we've got a bit of a problem. Alright, I get it. I know what this looks like, right? It looks like an Anthem hate video, but it's not. So if you've already started typing a hate comment in the comment below...
Stop it. Get some help.
Cause no, it's not actually a hate video at all. I'm a big fan of what I've seen of Anthem so far, and I'm really excited to play the game, get up to level 30, and play for maybe about 10 hours after that. But when I commit to playing a game like this, or an RPG like this, I want to commit to a full experience, and a game that can keep me around for weeks and months on end. But I'm afraid that for a lot of players, those 10 or so hours after you finish the main story may be as far as the journey will take you. What is up, guys? Welcome back to TGG. If it's your first time here, I'm all about making videos that can help you make better decisions on what games to buy, but also create conversations around those games. So if that seems like something you'd be interested in, I'd love it if you could become part of this community by subscribing down below. Taking a look at some of the RPGs in years past, some have been very successful, and these are games like Diablo and World of Warcraft. But there are some that are quote-unquote okay now, but didn't meet expectations at launch, and never really fully recovered from their weak launches. And these are games like Destiny and The Division, and I'm afraid that Anthem could become one of those games. Shout out to all of you guys who watched my part 3 of my Anthem vs The Division 2 series, because in that video I went over the endgame of both games, and if you watched it you would have seen that I'm definitely a bit concerned about what we've been told about Anthem's endgame. And it mainly stems from what we saw in the last developer livestream, when the developers were asked about whether raids would be in the game.
Will there be raids?
Yeah, so we can answer this question kind of. So I think we believe that every game needs aspirational content. Yep. So the idea that there's a lot of activities that you do in the game, and it feels meaningful to have this long tail chase towards something. Either something that is challenging, or something that is rewarding, or that gives you better stuff. And so at launch, we have a lot of amazing aspirational stuff to do, right? As you go through the crit path and get towards max level, you start, getting a better idea of what javelin you want to play, what role you want to play. Yeah. And then you start kind of chasing this loot and getting really powerful. And then as you enter like the Elder game, you have strongholds that you just saw today and legendary contracts. Yep. And as you're doing these harder difficulties, you're building these loadouts and creating these synergies and play styles and trying to work out how to take on the hardest challenges, and then how to do that by yourself for a build, but then amongst a group of 4 players to keep pushing. And then as we enter the live service, we plan to add more and more stuff. And
yeah,
so
cool stuff
we have some really exciting aspirational stuff for the live service that we're not talking about yet, that'll come pretty soon after launch. That will be, as players have done all this amazing content we have at launch, there'll be some more stuff that I think everything you do will get you ready for the things that come later. And we'll be talking about that next year.
And it's cool and it's different, and we don't call them raids, but yeah,
but
like
it feels that aspirational content.
And we want to talk about it. It's just we
do.
Now look, there's definitely some positives to be found in there. Ben Irving, the dev on the right in that video, did say that the game will become a live service, and that's awesome to see. He also spoke about what they're calling aspirational content, and how there needs to be content that players strive to complete. I have absolutely no concern about this content eventually making it into the game, but what's got me so concerned is that he said that the main things you'll be doing at launch after you complete the story is strongholds and legendary contracts, and he confirmed this later in a tweet as well. I understand that there are a lot of people that are passionate about Anthem and want it to succeed, and look, I'm absolutely among that group. But this whole not launching a game with all of its content and instead adding it several weeks or months after launch in an attempt to keep players playing for longer simply has not worked. And I'm gonna give you one of the best examples. Let's go back a few years and have a look at The Division 1. At The Division's launch, it quickly became apparent to anyone that played it, this game was really fun, and that was reflected in the game's launch review scores. But for the hardcore players like all of us, once we got into the endgame, we found out pretty quick that while there are a lot of other issues, the main problem was that there wasn't much content in the game. It wasn't until almost 2 years after the Division's launch that the game, by most fans, was considered complete, with a satisfactory amount of endgame content to play. And a big part of that was the introduction of incursions, which are the closest thing the Division saw to raids. See, the Division is now considered a quote-unquote complete game, and a really good one at that. But despite that, they had lost almost all of their player base in the first few months, and their later efforts to improve the game went unnoticed by a lot of players. But how does that relate to Anthem? Well, where the Division had only hard mode and challenge missions, and also the Dark Zone at launch, the only endgame content at launch for Anthem will be strongholds and legendary contracts. See the correlation? And while in a year, Anthem may have all of the aspirational content that the developers are talking about, we don't know who is still going to be there to actually play it. It also doesn't help that The Division 2 is launching just a few weeks after the launch of Anthem, and it seems as though their developers have learned from their mistakes in The Division 1. And they've come out to say that the game will launch with raids and all of the endgame content that a game like this needs. And on top of that, instead of saying, well, just trust us, we're going to put enough content into the game, they've already come out with a clear and concise roadmap on what to expect in year 1. So if Anthem waits too long to bring all of their aspirational content out, how many players will they have already lost? So now I want to flip the conversation back to you. How much faith do you have in Anthem that the game can keep people around long enough to see all of the endgame content finally be fleshed out into the game? And how big of an impact do you think the Division 2's launch will have on the lifespan of Anthem? Let me know, and let's start a conversation in the comments below. But as always guys, I really do hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it got your mind ticking about Anthem. Once again, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this every week. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!